Hello, I'm Adriano Motta. I'm an engineer. I've been working in oil and gas since 2001. Before this, I have worked a little bit with some business, commercial area, and also I've been before in the academic area. Also, I studied the master degree with internship or scholarship from the government after graduation. So I started in technical side when I was 14 years old. So I started studying mechanic at a technical school. I was quite young, and then after this, it was a 4 years course. After this, I moved to the university, and when deciding the course that I was going to study at the university, I had some challenges or some doubts in my mind because I liked a lot about economy and administration. So my first attempt was to go to the economy. However, since I studied the 4 years mechanic at technical school, it was a kind of a natural choice, a natural option to me to go to mechanic or to engineering at least. And then I decided to go to study mechanical engineering. So I passed to the university. It was a university called UF. It's a Universidade Federal Fluminense, Fluminense Federal University here in Rio de Janeiro, in Niterói. And I studied 3 semesters there. I was studying, then in 1993, it was created in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, a public university called UENF. UENF is a Universidade Estadual do Norte Fluminense. And then when I started to read about this university, I perceived that they were trying to create a kind of mimic of Unicamp. Unicamp is a very well-known university in Brazil. This is the first or second best university in Brazil, and this is a very strong education, strong position in research and development. So the university that I was reading, was looking for, they were trying to create something very similar in Rio de Janeiro. With all professors, with PhD, with a university dedicated for research and development, so very strong activities in research and development to the graduation students. And it was also the first university in Brazil to have a graduation in petroleum engineering. Then I talked to my family, and I decided, and I have family also, I have family in the city that is campus. That is the place that this new university was created. Then I talked to my family, and I decided to make the test to go to this university. And then I stopped the mechanical engineering at UF, and I passed the test to go to this new university to study petroleum engineering. Then I started there, studied the 2 first years, initial years at the university are the same to all type of engineering. Then we select the engineer that we go to be dedicated to petroleum engineer, civil engineer, material engineer, whatever. Then when I was very close to decide to go to move to the professional disciplines with petroleum engineering, I talked a lot with my father due to some crises in Brazil along the years. Sometimes we have strong crisis years and no job to no one. So I thought, if I'm in petroleum engineering, if you have a crisis, I have nothing to do, because if oil and gas stop because some crisis or the oil price goes down or whatever, what a petroleum engineer will do. So I decided to graduate in civil engineering, because at that university they did not have mechanical engineer. So I graduated in civil engineering, and after the graduation I studied a master post-graduation in petroleum engineering, and then I've been working in petroleum engineer more than 20 years. But I decided to not graduate in civil engineer, in petroleum engineer, because of this, because to not be so specific. Because as a civil engineer, I have more flexibility to work with constructions, to work with different industries, not only oil and gas, and also to have my own business if I need. Then was my start. Between the technical school and the university, I had some internship working with mechanics as well. Then during the university, during 3 years of the university, I was internship working with research and development on optimizations, because my specialization in civil engineer was production or industrial engineering with optimizations, operational research, that is lots of linear programming or non-linear programming, that is it's regarding optimizations and regarding kind of the strategic and bureaucratic aspect of the engineering. So this was my specialization into civil engineering. Then when I went to the petroleum engineering after the graduation, I started working as a field engineer, using a lot my mechanic background as a technical guy, but I was to the field. I started working on assembling, disassembling, tests, and operational aspect of maintenance of facilities or plants or equipments, valves, pipelines, or small plants with a separation process, with separation like heater, flare, and all these pumps. Because I during a time during my beginning of the start of my life, I start a little bit with subsea, with some subsea installations and equipments, working in different vessels, going to installation vessels, FPSOs, diving vessels, and some other vessels, working with subsea connections and subsea installations, maintenance and operations. But in 2003 I worked 1 year and a half in Halliburton working with exploration well test. Though basically exploration well test is try to assemble a small FPSO into a drilling rig. So we had separations, many times two-stage separations, first stage and second stage, because we were working many times with heavy oil, so we needed two-stage separations. We have heater, we have compressors, we have pumps, we have diverters, flares, etc. So it was a mini FPSO operations into a drilling rig. So I was responsible with my colleagues to assemble, disassemble, perform maintenance, perform test operations of these mini plants. Then in 2004, the middle of the year 2004, I came back to subsea, to work with subsea, with Technip FMC, with FMC at that time. Then I came back working with the same thing that I started with subsea, but at the beginning I started with ABB, that is a vertical equipment, and now I was coming back to FMC, that is a competitor. I worked 11 months with subsea at FMC, doing exactly the same that I was doing before, with installing equipments, maintenance, assembly, operations, tests, and offshore installations of subsea equipment. I went offshore many times, and then I was invited to work to Texaco. Texaco was Chevron. Chevron purchased Texaco. So it was a good opportunity, and then what I thought, okay, I was doing very well at FMC. FMC is a great company by the way. So it's I liked to work to Halliburton. However, Halliburton was a really hard company in terms of quality of life, because I was getting married, so I was dating my current wife, and working to Halliburton, I was working like 27 days a month or 26 days a month, and I had 3 or 4 days off per month. So in terms of a personal life, it was not so easy. However, professionally it was very good, because since it was quite intense, many days working with no days off, the learning curve is very nice. And other point is that Halliburton used to pay quite well, because the days off that are supposed to be resting, Halliburton used to pay us back. So I made quite lots of money at Halliburton. So I was very young at the beginning of my life, and this money helped me a lot. So it was very good to me to start my life, to purchase my own apartment, and to start my personal life in terms of financial aspect. However, when I moved to FMC, I was working also as a field guy, putting hands to maintenance, to operate things and to do things, to execute things. I like a lot the execution operation. Even today, I'm much older today, but I still like operational aspects of the activities. I like execution, I like operations. And FMC was very good, and FMC provided me a better balance between professional and personal life, because FMC was like 14 days, 14 working, 14 on a rest. So sometimes they needed us a little bit before, so during my resting time, so they invited us to go offshore to support them in some activities. But FMC was much more much better in terms of a quality of life to me professionally. However, when as I mentioned, when I was invited to work to Chevron, to Texaco, it was a good opportunity. Chevron was an operator. They had a big view. When I worked at Halliburton, to FMC, whatever, I worked with a piece of the game. So a piece, some type of equipment, some type of service, or very specific into the whole picture. But when we work to the operator, we see things as a whole, a big picture. We manage different suppliers, different contractors, different service, different operators, in fact. And then this was a challenge to me. It was good to me. So I decided to accept this proposal to work to Chevron, to Texaco. Another point is that I've been working maybe 3 or 4 years at upstream, at offshore operations, and then Texaco invited me to work in downstream. So I worked in downstream 2 years. In fact, my salary was lower. So my salary at FMC was higher than my salary at Chevron. However, the experience and the learning aspect that I could have on working to Chevron was very good to me. So I accepted to reduce my salary to work to Chevron. And this experience was in fact amazing. It was, I think, the best experience that I had in my whole life. I worked the 2 years in downstream to Chevron. And after 2 years, I moved to upstream in Chevron. I worked the 4 years in upstream in Chevron. So during these 2 years in downstream in Chevron, I worked with what they call liquid fuel distribution terminals. So those are big terminals or facilities with lots of tanks. They have tanks for alcohol, for gasoline, for diesel, or for other products that they sell. They have many pumps, many pipeline systems. They have contention for drain the tanks, or for if they have some leak, to protect the environmental, so that they can collect all they have some containment aspects of the tanks if they have some leaks or some disasters, so that they can contain that liquid and send to some specific place to not contaminate the environmental. And we have many aspects regarding pumps, regarding safety of tank construction, tank maintenance, tank painting, or all the aspect of going to claim the tank for paint, for doing maintenance, or ultrasound tests, or whatever test, or integrity management. Or we have also tanks, pumps, and all other aspects. So we have also lots of environmental aspects and HSE aspects involved on those facilities. And then during those 2 years, I was an engineer, facility engineer, supporting Chevron or Texaco in the day-to-day technical aspects of those facilities. So I was responsible for all technical investments of several facilities. So Texaco had 48 facilities, if I'm not wrong. We had three engineers doing the same thing, so I had two colleagues that they had exactly the same functions as me, but one was located in Belém, and the other was located in São Paulo, in Campinas. And those colleagues, they were responsible for operated terminals. So the colleague in Campinas was responsible for 6 operated terminals. The colleague in Belém, he was responsible for 5 operated terminals, and myself, I was responsible for 37 operated terminals, if I'm not wrong. The difference is that the terminals that I was responsible, they were non-operated terminals, so they belong to Shell or to Exxon, Petrobras, Ipiranga. So not exactly that they belong, but they were joint venture terminals operated by Ipiranga, Exxon, Shell, Petrobras, and then Chevron Texaco was a partner, and I was responsible to monitor and to deal with all discussions, technical discussion regarding those terminals in terms of maintenance, new constructions, new tanks, new containment areas, pipeline systems maintenance, integrity activities, auditing activities, approval of ballots for all technical investments relating to the terminal. So I was responsible for representing my company, Texaco, on those meetings and on those discussions. So basically, I understood what was going on, what was the need, what was the request from the operator. I brought internally for discussions, for assessments, for business case analysis, and for taking the decisions. Once the internal decision was aligned, and I came to the meetings for representing on all decisions regarding my company at that time, that was Chevron. And also I was responsible for to ensure that our internal policies regarding safety, HSE, and also some other technical aspects I was responsible for implementing. For example, when I was working there, Chevron was implementing a new additive for the gasoline. So I was responsible for contracting engineering companies to have a kind of a small bidding, to contracting companies to perform engineering construction in all facilities that we were partner, to adapt the additive of our gasoline. So it was Tecron, the name at the time. That time. So I contracted I set the scope. I selected the engineering companies. I contracted the engineering companies. I was the supervisor of those engineering companies on performing the construction of those additive. It was a small tanks with a dosage pumps to inject the additive into the gasoline that Chevron or Texaco was selling in country at that time. After those 2 years, I moved to upstream, as I mentioned. Basically, Chevron, while I was working downstream, Chevron had an exploration in country called Frade field, and they had success in this exploration field. And when having success in this exploration field, they had the FID, so to develop a field called Frade. When developing a field called Frade, they start to build an organization to develop this field. So they had a kind of engineering. They start to build an engineering team to develop this field. The project team was mainly people from Houston, from Chevron in Houston. However, they start to move to prepare also the operations team. And then I was contracted as the second Brazilian in the Chevron team in the Frade field, working as subsea operations. So basically my scope was, they had the engineering team developing the equipments and the fields in the subsea aspect, in the field, the whole field in fact. But they had the subsea engineering team to project the equipments and to prepare the subsea arrangements. And then I came as a subsea operations, and my role was to monitor and to discuss and participate in all discussions and activities regarding the end of engineering and the beginning of the construction of the equipment. So they were constructing plats, planes, subsea trees, and equipments that are on the subsea field. They are part of the subsea field, so they are constructing. The FMC was the supplier that awarded to develop those equipments. So I started to participate on all discussions of those equipments. Also participate on being auditing or monitoring the construction in the manufacturing facilities, and also to participate on all discussion regarding the procedures, installation procedures, commissioning procedures, startup procedures, shutdown procedures of the field regarding subsea and production operations, and also strategies in how is going to be the integrity management strategy, how is going to be the startup and shutdown philosophy. For example, in Frade we had hot oil, so we need to circulate hot oil up to the moment that we were at a certain temperature, so that we could open the well to flow, so that we could minimize flow assurance issues. We had some other we had some other strategies regarding injecting ethanol or methanol for hydrate prevention when we had a planned or non-planned shutdown. Many strategies and procedures like this. I participate on the discussions together with the production engineering team, and also I participated on the while equipment started to be manufactured. I started to participate on the installation of those equipments in the field. So I went offshore as a company rep together with the the FMC technicians, so that we were installing the equipments. I was supervising the Technip team on installation of all equipments of Frade fields, and also doing the commissioning of the trees. I stayed 2 years as a crew on a multi-service vessel called Scandi Salvador, and after this I spent about 1 year in the FPSO working the commissioning, because we connected the subsea trees to the FPSO. Then we need to go to the FPSO to test if the tree was well connected, if the control system was opening or closing valves, if the chemicals, if we want to inject a corrosion inhibitor, the correct chemical is going down. If we inject asphaltene inhibitor, the correct chemical is going down. So we need to connect and disconnect all the tubings to confirm that the chemicals were well aligned during the FPSO constructions. In fact, we found some gaps, some mistakes during the constructions of the vessel, so we identified these and we corrected these in the top side in the FPSO. I participate. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of Frade, very beginning, on my upstream side of Frade, I participate on the pre-operations, what they call as operations readiness. So prior starting to go offshore to installations, to install equipments, to commissioning, and also to go to FPSO, I participate 1 year in pre-operations, so operations readiness, to ensure that all fields was ready to start the subsea. So the vessel was okay, the port support was okay, the contracts with the aftermarket contract was okay, the chemical contracts was okay, the competence assessment of the people was okay, training of subsea aspect of the Frade was okay to everybody that needed to know, and all those things. So I participate on these pre-operations prior to go to the commissioning, because just to come back and explain this. Okay, so now I moved from Chevron. I was working 6 years at Chevron. I was wondering to move. I was quite young and I was willing to learn more. And I was trying to move to production side, production engineering. However, they were trying to hold me in the subsea. They needed to have me in subsea, but I was wondering to learn more. And then I was trying to go, and I was studying petroleum engineering. So to me, it would be good to go to production because I could combine the subsea aspect that I've been working, I was working with the petroleum engineer that was studying. Then, due to some blockers or some people trying to block me to move to production, I was invited to work as a subsea manager, account manager to Cameron in the subsea system. So Cameron, at that time, petroleum industry was growing a lot. Cameron was selling lots of equipment to Petrobras, participating in many tenders and biddings, and Petrobras and to other operators as well. And they were requiring a manager to account manage, to the business development manager or sales manager. Then I accepted this challenge. So to me, I was working maybe almost 8 years, 10 years in the field activities, operational support activities, but I've never had the opportunity to work in the business development or commercial area. So I thought this would be a very good experience to me to know a little bit about the dynamics of a business development and sales. And then I accepted this and I went there to work at Cameron. And I worked for a while to Cameron. And however, I was working 10 or 11 months, I don't remember, to Cameron. It was very good. I participated in many bids and preparations on pricing and all these pre-tender when we receive a request from, for example, Petrobras, and we need to understand, we need to call with talk to our engineering team, to our quotation people, our tendering team, we need to go to the clients to have some clarification process, to ask some doubts that we have in the process, or to propose some change when we believe that we have some gaps or some things. We had some meetings with the client, with Petrobras. In fact, it was the main client to myself. And also I participated in some tenders on delivering some tenders. It was a very good experience to understand a little bit the dynamic of commercial area and business development. However, I graduated in petroleum engineer. I had between Chevron and Cameron, I have completed my course in petroleum engineering, and I was very excited on being a petroleum engineer after many years working in the field, but with no theoretical background. After finalizing my master or my post-graduation studies in petroleum engineer, I had the opportunity to work in drilling. I've never worked in drilling before. I have worked with well testing, but not with drilling, in fact. Then it was a Brazilian company called HRT, that today is a PetroRio, PRIO. It was a very good company. They were working on drilling in the middle of jungle in Amazonia, onshore drilling, and they were forming a kind of a trainee team with junior engineers to become a company man or company rep on the drilling activity. So we had a master contract with Halliburton. Halliburton was the executor of the drilling activities today in Amazonia, and they have the rig company. The rig company, they had two. They had one called Queiroz Galvão, the other called Tuscany, and then those companies were contracted by the HRT, that the company that I was contracted to work with, and I was the company man, ensuring that the rig company and also Halliburton, they were performing the service and the activities as per contract. So my main position, my main activity was to ensure that our contractors were following the contract that we had with them. So I used my background in petroleum engineering, in drilling, in fact, to supervise those contractors on performing drilling activities in the middle of jungle, in onshore drilling in Amazonia. So it was a great experience, an amazing experience, in fact, amazing from a personal and professional side. So from personal side, few Brazilians have been in Amazonia, in the middle of jungle, to understand how is the life there, how is the difficulties, and how is the challenge that we have on that region. So personally, it was amazing opportunity to know and to understand a little bit this part of the country. And professionally, it was amazing to me as well, because I've never had worked with drilling before, so it was an experience to me to work with drilling, and also it was an experience to me to know onshore activities. That onshore activities we see everything that is happening, so it's very good because we see when we are on the onshore. Once we go inside of the water, the sea water, we have only the feeling of the things. At some moments we have the ROV that we can see things, but after we start to drill the rock formation, we see nothing more. But when we are onshore, we see lots of the things that are doing. We see very close to us. The way we have a BOP maintenance, we are very close to seeing what is going on. We are running down a casing, or we are drilling, we are changing the drill bits. Everything we see very closely. The mud line, the mud system, cleaning system, everything is very close. So we walk around the drilling rig and we see everything. So the learning to me, it was very good. Another aspect is that since we were in the middle of the jungle, we had no roads, so everything needs to use helicopter to be to come to the sites, or to move out from the site. So what we did, all the rig was disassembled in a very small piece with a 1 ton, 3 tons, 4 tons, no more, because we had 2 helicopters. One helicopter with a 1.6 ton capacity, the other 3.6 capacity. During many times we need to disassemble everything in a small piece to use those helicopters to move things. After some period, we could have a kind of army helicopter that was able to carry, if I'm not wrong, 8 or 9 tons. So we could disassemble a little bit less. But even the cranes or the trucks, everything was disassembly at the facility in the city, and then moved, loaded, carried by helicopter to the rig. And when arriving the rig, the mechanic assembled the all equipments, all compressors, generators, cranes, trucks, everything was assembled in the rig. So the experience was very good because we saw everything disassembled, assembled, all the logistics. It was amazing experience. Okay, so I was working there. Things were doing well, but it's a very far for my house. The trip from my house to the rig was about 22 hours. So I need to get a plane to Manaus. Many times the plane to Manaus went through Brasilia. It was maybe 4, 5, 6 hours plane, depending on the flights that we get. And then after arriving in Manaus, we got a small plane to a small city called Tefé. From this small city called Tefé in Amazonia, we got another helicopter from Tefé to the middle of the jungle with a base facility that they have there, logistic base. And from this logistic base, we get a helicopter to the platform. So it was a 4-leg trips from my house to the platform. It took me about 22 hours to arrive from my house to the platform. It was made us very tired, all this logistics. But it was very amazing and exciting experience. However, I was invited to work to Shell. Shell had a field that they started in 2003 called Bijupirá in Salema. It was an oil and gas field, maybe something like 1,000 meters depth, or 1.3 thousand depth, or something like this. It was an offshore field, and it was at the end of the life. The end of the life was planned to 2017. We were in 2012. Then what happened? I was invited to work in the redevelopment project to Shell, that they called the Bijupirá and Salema redevelopment. So it was basically extension. So they were going to include some new wells and disconnect some old wells that they were not producing anymore, or the very low production, and they were going to attach those new wells so that they could extend the life of the field for more 5 years. So the end of the life that was 2017 would change to 2022. So I participated in this project. It was a fast track project, 2 years and a half project. I participated in the whole project. At the end of the project, it was very good. I worked as a operations readiness, doing something quite similar what I did in Chevron. However, here it was not only subsea, but the whole project. I was operations readiness, ensuring the effectiveness of all discussions from an operational point of view. So basically, they had the project team doing things, and the idea is to get from Chevron was due to many project mistakes that they had in the past, not only Shell but the historic of projects, many fails in terms of HSE, in terms of effectiveness of the premises, of interfaces problems, or many other problems that they have, that the project do not deliver as expected. So Shell created this operations readiness team, and the idea was to have operational eyes into what project team was doing, participate on all discussions and all procedures, strategy, philosophies, the approval of premises, OPEX, CAPEX, interface, commissioning, handover, lessons learned, and all those things. Participate in all those so that we can ensure that what project is doing will be effective when moving to the operations, so that the operations guys are not going to have premise. So the HSC aspects are going to work well, the interface aspect is going to work well, the handover from project to operations are going to work well, the training of people and competence of people that are going to operate the project in the future is going to work well, the lessons learned from previous projects are going to be evaluated, and the lessons learned from this project is going to be collected to be used in the future projects. So many things like this. So discussions regarding alarm philosophies, interlock philosophies, because we have a new project. So we had the operating projects that was operating. We were going to perform some modifications, and then we need to ensure that the people that are going to operate know the change that we did. We needed to ensure that all alarm philosophies, shutdown philosophies, interlock philosophies regarding control system were properly changed or adjusted to capture all the change that we did in the field. So all those things, I was the operations readiness lead to ensure that all those things worked well. So I participated from the beginning to the end of this project. Once the project ended, I was moving to other position in Shell, but my future in Shell was still uncertain because my project was finished, and I was moving to other position that it was not exactly clear. Initially, I was working to a project that they call Higless, that was to have some pump. To have some installation in the FPSO to perform maintenance of a pump, ESP pump, into the FPSO instead of using the rig to do this in the subsea. So I was working this, but the future of this project was a little bit uncertain, and my future in Shell was also. I was not exactly sure that things were keep going, and I was invited by a colleague that was working to Repsol, and they mentioned, we just found a project called BMC 33 that's called Pão de Açúcar. It's a huge gas field here in Brazil. Repsol was the operator. They were developing an engineering team to work in the project of this field, so that they could develop the field and then operate the field. So what I saw as the opportunities. My future in Shell was not exactly certain. I have no certainty on my future in Shell. I could be there. Eventually, I could move to Malaysia or to other place. However, it was not exactly clear my future in Shell. And on the other hand, Repsol was needing a subsea guy there. So I accepted this challenge. I accepted to go there, to move to Shell, to Repsol. I moved to Repsol to work in the project team of this BMC-33, the Pão de Açúcar. I was a subsea 3 engineer. They were in the concept phase, a visualization concept phase. I was working with them to understand the challenge regarding subsea trees and the subsea systems, working, discussing with facility guys there. And then I was working there. Then it came the crisis in 2014 for 15. It came a big crisis with the oil price went down, and then Repsol started to doubt if they should keep in the BMC-33 or if they should stop or if they should sell the field. And then Repsol decided to farm out the BMC-33 operations to Equinor. Then when they did this, they start to demobilize the engineering organization. And I was working 1 year to Repsol, and they were demobilizing the engineering team. So many people fired. They were keeping only the non-operated assets and team, and the BMC-33 was not going to be operated by Repsol anymore. So at that moment, I had the opportunity, and I was invited by Repsol to work in the research and development. In Brazil, we have an obligation, it's mandatory to operators that produce oil, even if they are operated or not operated, or non-operated, they must invest in research and development. So Repsol had a small team in research and development, and they invited me to work there. Since I was working subsea trees, they invited me to work in the wells, research and developments regarding wells, decommissioning, plug-in abandonment, and robotic operations or offshore operations regarding robotics in integrity. So I did this. In 2015, I moved to research and development, working to Repsol, Sinopec in Brazil. Sinopec is a Chinese, Repsol is a Spanish oil company. Then it was a joint venture in Brazil, Repsol, Sinopec. And I worked there for about 4 years and a half. I started in July 2014 and I left December 2018. And then I worked there, working on those research and development. It was good to me because I studied some post-graduation in project management and also in research and development. And also I could know very well the dynamic of research and development in Brazil using ANP funds. ANP is the petroleum agency in Brazil, and they are the ones that keep the law, the regulations regarding research and development. And then I understood very well the dynamic and the way of doing research and development in Brazil. In 2018, Total Energy, or Total at that time, they were creating an organization for research and development in country to deal with subsea. So since I was working with research and development in Repsol Sinopec, but I was working with wells. I know wells. I know some aspect of wells. I feel quite comfortable in some aspect of wells, but it's not the topic that I like more, or the topic that I have more experience. So I have much more experience and much more knowledge in subsea aspects, subsea manifolds, planes, surf, SPS, mainly SPS, but I know a little bit surf as well. Surf is subsea riser, umbilical and flow lines, and SPS is subsea production systems. So I know a little bit more subsea production system and so subsea control systems and subsea processing than surf, but I know surf a little bit as well. But I accepted Total because to work with research and development in subsea was much closer to my background, the things that I like to do. And research and development I was working with. I knew quite well the dynamic of this. So I accepted going to Total to participate on this and to work with subsea in research and development to Total. I stayed at Total 4 years and 3 months there, working leading as a lead in research and development for deep offshore, that gets subsea and offshore operations. It was very good to work there, in December 2022, I lead research and development, and also I was the focal point in terms of research and development for discussions with a joint venture that Total Energy have in Brazil called Libra. Libra is a joint venture between two Chinese companies, Sinuk and CNPC, plus Shell, plus Total Energy, plus Petrobras. And then I participated during 4 years, during all discussions regarding our research and development of this joint venture. And I knew very well all projects and all discussions regarding this project. Then in December 2002, we had an internal email asking some information about a project regarding this joint venture, Libra. A project called HICEP. HICEP is a subsea equipment for CO2 removal, some simplified meaning of this equipment is like this, to remove CO2 in mudline. And since I was participating in this during many years or many time, I knew very well what was going on this. And when I saw the email, I saw the question was regarding some ballots regarding some cost increase on some activities regarding this project. And I knew very well. I knew about the discussions. I knew about the reason why the cost has increased. I knew about the project, about the status of the project. I did not knew because I did not know this because I'm better than no one, but because I was participating during 4 years on the discussions and on the meetings on things. So what I thought when I saw the email, it was an internal email, I thought, I know about this. There are information that I know that other people do not know because they do not participate in the meetings, and I think it is good to me to provide a feedback on this, to help people to better understand what's going on. Then I answered with my inputs regarding what are the reasons that things are happening, what are the status of this HICEP, and some status of the R&D aspects of Libra there. When I did this, a colleague from mine, it was not my boss and neither my subordinate, it was a colleague in a parallel function as mine. He mentioned, no, I supposed to be the one answering this, I supposed to answer on that way, your answer is not correct, you are not doing the correct input. So I was very close to it was 4 days or 5 days to enter in vacation. I was start on vacation during the Christmas, and this email happened about December 20 or something like this, and in Christmas or 22 I entered in vacation. I came back in the mid of January 23rd this year. Then I thought, so I'm going on vacation. If I do not answer this, I will answer only when I come back from vacation, and even I can forget of answering this. So let me answer this. And then I mentioned this colleague. I was a little bit rude and with this colleague because I mentioned, hey guy, you are acting like a teenager because. You are telling something like I need to be the one answering this. You need to answer like this. You need to do like this. And this made me a little bit angry because I was participating on this discussion for during 4 years. I knew very well what was going on, and it made him a little bit upset. The guy saying I need to answer, not you. You are providing a wrong answer. So I did not provide the wrong answer, and I was just trying to help people to understand some things that was happening, because I participated in the meetings, I knew what was going on. And then I was very rude with this guy, because to me it was a kind of ego from him, like I need to answer, you need to answer like this, I'm smarter, I have the better way of answering. So it was an ego complaint from this guy. So, but since I was really upset, and I was really rude with this guy, I entered on vacation, and end of January, when I came back from vacation, I was fired from Total Energies, because of the way that I treated this guy, calling him as a teenager, being rude with him. So it was a mistake. I was very tired. I was very close to go on vacation. And in fact, even today, I think that this guy acted like a teenager, because it was ego. Because he knew that I know the topic, I know what was going on, and I was trying to help. But he wanted the ego, that he wanted to say, no, I'm the one that I need to answer. I need to answer on this way. I know the best way of answering. So I would avoid this. This would be the correct position of myself. But I was a little bit tired. I did a big mistake. Not that I think that I'm wrong. I think that this guy did a kind of ego response, ego. But I supposed to be patient. I supposed to breathe and let things do, and eventually talk to my boss and explain the situation, but not being rude with my colleague. And I was rude, and this led me to lose my job. So this made a mess in my life, because I have 2 kids. My kids are going to the university this year, and I lost my job. I started to need to look for another job. I found a job to work in Salvador. I worked there. However, my family is here. My wife is a public employee in Rio de Janeiro. My kids are going to the university this year. And at least this year, 2003, is very hard to me to be far from Rio de Janeiro. I can go there next year or after my kids go to the university, but not this year. This year I need to help them. My family is a little bit stressed here. My kids are trying to go to medicine. I have twins, a boy and a girl. Both are trying to go to the medicine at the university. Medicine is a very hard course to go. Things here at home are a little bit stressed. The psychological aspect of participate on the test, to go to the university, to move, so it's a little bit stressed here, and I need to be here close, helping my family and supporting my family this year. Next year I can go to Angola, to other place, no problem, to Guyana or whatever. But this happened and I lost my job. It was a little bit frustrating to me, because I worked very, very hard to support Total Energy. I worked many times 12 hours, 14 hours, 15, 17 hours per day during pandemic days, or during after pandemic days, supporting. I was managing portfolio of projects, if I'm not wrong, 15 R&D projects, plus many other prospect discussions. So I had a very, very hard workload. With a project management of 15 different projects, with a portfolio management of 15 different projects, with many prospects that we were discussing to start and to sign to this year, or to 2023, 2024. But I lost my job. So it's a little bit frustrating to me, because I worked a lot. I was really a good employee. You can check with my colleagues that they were working with me. I have many references there with colleagues that they worked with me there. But this happened, and I need to reinvent my life, and I'm doing this. So after Salvador, I decided to come back to Salvador, accepted to come to Subsea 7. Subsea 7, I'm working with surf. I know surf is not my main background. I know much better SPS, subsea production system, and subsea processing, flow assurance and operations engineering than surf. Surf is a subsea umbilical riser and flow lines. But I'm working with surf in Subsea 7. I'm not so comfortable. I'm out of my comfort zone here. I'm coming back to business development, so I'm working the sales team here. So it's good to me to know another dynamic, to know other discipline, or other technical aspect, to improve my knowledge in surf. It's good to me. It's not exactly being transparent is not exactly what I would prefer. It's not exactly what I would like. I like to work with two operators, two oil companies such as Shell, Chevron, Total Energy, because I have a very good wide understanding of subsea production, petroleum engineer, reservoir engineer. So even subsea, I have worked with many different topics. So to me, it fits very well to me, the work of an operator, because operator look things on a wide, holistic view. And I have this holistic view. I have worked with supervision of contractors, I have worked with contracts, managing contracts, helping to the lawyers to write contracts, discussing purchasing and planning. Have a very good experience and exposure to project management, planning activities, or project management of medium and big projects, portfolio management, operations. I love to work with operations, even if I need to go to the field, to go offshore, to visit, to travel. I like this. And to me, I'm reinventing my life, restarting my life, and let's see what God is expecting to my life. Let's see. I have at least more 15 years up to retire myself. But I want to work much more. I'm healthy. I have a good. I play sports. I'm very healthy today to work more 20 years, 25 years easily, and I want to work. So I'm here. I'm reinventing my life. I'm operations. I'm an oil and gas engineer. I have a very good background, and I also have started 3-4 years ago. Started to be participating in many discussions regarding energy transitions. I completed a post-graduation in renewables. I'm studying another one here regarding renewables offshore. I've participated in many discussions with Total Energy regarding renewables. I was responsible for signing a project regarding offshore winds to supply energy to hydrogen, to green hydrogen production with FRJ. These are great discussions. I studied a lot, I discussed a lot to set this project and to sign this project. So today I have a very good understanding, what are some technical aspects regarding wind offshore, hydrogen offshore, and some other aspects regarding solar. I have solar energy in my house here. I have studied solar energy at post-graduation as well. So I have some good understanding, some bioenergy, some solar energy, wind energy, wave energy, and some others aspects. I love this area. I would be very, very happy if I have the opportunity to work with wind offshore, hydrogen offshore, wave offshore, or other things, supporting those activities or pre-operations, operations, planning, strategic decisions, or things like this. And I like subsea. I know quite well subsea. I have worked many years in subsea with different aspects of subsea, operations subsea. And also I have worked in downstream. During 2 years, and this made me to know quite well from the gas station to the reservoir. So I know quite well the aspects regarding reservoir, production, subsea, facilities engineering, top side of FPSO. So since I have studied the petroleum engineering in many aspects, I know quite well the FPSO aspects or activities. When I worked with exploration, well testing, the operations of well testing is very close to the operations of FPSO processing plant, because we have separation systems, we have tanks we have water treatment, we have flare, we have heating, we have pumps, we have pipeline systems, many things that are very similar to the FPSO processing operation. I've already been in many different FPSO before. I've been at Frade FPSO from Chevron. I have been Fluminense FPSO Modec 1 from Shell. The Frade was SBM. I had been Espírito Santo FPSO from Shell. I've been in two production platforms from Chevron in Angola. One called the BBLT, the other called Quito. Quito was SBM, if I'm not wrong. Quito was from Chevron. And I was also in two production platforms from Chevron in Gulf of Mexico. One called Petroneus and another Genesis. Both in Louisiana area there in Gulf of Mexico. So I've been many times in FPSOs. I've already worked in FPSO supporting commissioning of subsea equipment to Chevron in Frade FPSO. I've also supported the training of people at FPSO Fluminense for Shell. So I trained people, the operation team of Shell, Bijupirá Salema, to teach them on all the modifications that we did in the Bijupirá redevelopment project. So I did a training to people. I made a test to those people to test, ensure the competence of people to operate the FPSO Fluminense after the Bijupirá redevelopment project. I also went on board to train people on the HSE case update for Bijupirá and Salema redevelopment. What is this? We have HSE case that is all HSE aspects of the FPSO. It's a kind of a big book with many aspects, where we divide what are the critical equipment, so what are the critical elements, what are the critical functions in the platform, the tasks, etc. So once we have the Bijupirá redevelopment project, we needed to update, or if we had changes in this safety critical elements, safety critical equipment, safety critical roles and positions. So to understand that all people know that they are critical to keep maintenance of some safety critical elements, and also the frequency of performing maintenance and inspections on safety critical elements, etc. So we updated the safety critical, the HSE case, and we went on board to teach people on what were the changes in the HSE case, so that we could ensure the competence of people on board to operate the facility. So basically this is a little bit of me. So I talked here 1 hour, it's lots of talk, but I'm sure that this helped a lot to understand much better me than a simple look at a 2-page CV. So this is me. I have worked many years in the field activities, the operational activities, putting hands to operate, to assembly, to disassembly, to maintenance, or working also in support to operations, or planning to operations, or supervising contractors or suppliers. Many of my years of work are based on this, on field operations, or operation support, so operations supervision. And also I have worked many years in R&D, supporting project management, portfolio management, dealing with universities, dealing with companies, setting scope, setting cost of projects, setting schedule of projects, managing all project management aspects of the cost control, schedule control, quality control, deliverable controls, etc. of projects of research and development. And Also, have a background in petroleum engineering, so I have graduation in civil engineer, but I have technical school in mechanic. I have post-graduations in petroleum engineering, in project management, in renewable. So all those, and also in finance and administration. So all those help me a lot on all interface that I have, because many times we deal with different teams. We deal with finance guys, with accounting team, with reservoir, with production, with subsea, with facilities. So I have a very good understanding and overview of all those interface. I have a very good, usually you can check, I have more than 5,000 connections in my LinkedIn. You can check that usually I have very good interface and a very good relationship with my colleagues, and a very good understanding and ability to manage interface, and a good performance on activities that I usually do. So this is myself. I'm available here if you want to send a message and we want to talk. We can exchange experience. I can help you if you need. You can help me if I need. We can exchange technical information, commercial information that are not confidential, of course. We can exchange experience. I can help you. You can help me. Feel free to contact me whenever you want. And that's it. It's a very long video, but I think it's the best way of showing what I am. And thanks a lot for the patience, for listening 1 hour video. And this is myself. I'm Adriano Motta. I'm here in the LinkedIn, and you have my email also in the LinkedIn if you want to send me a message. Okay? Thanks a lot and have a good day. Bye bye.